Hello and good day to all friends. This is Mujtaba Rasti from the Thales team, and today is November 28th, 2025. I'm here with a morning analysis of Bitcoin using the Thales Market Screener tool. Please note that these analyses are purely educational and informational, and if you use them to take any positions in the market, the responsibility for any profit or loss is entirely your own. So, in the first slide, we filtered the trades from yesterday, November 27th, up to now, for the November 29th expiry in the first database. As you can see, the curve has an upward trend, and more precisely, we're seeing a put sell with the floor around 90,000. On the call seller side, targets are set at 93,000 and 96,000 as the ceiling. You can see these in the steps and peaks along the way. Overall, among buyers, put buyers dominate, targeting 89,000, while call buyers have actually set their target above 93,000. Among the sellers, put sellers dominate as well, targeting 89 to 90,000. Call sellers, however, have considered around 92,000 and 9,600 as their ceiling in their calculations. Over the past hour, the price has fluctuated between these two levels and hasn't fully reached any of the targets. However, considering that we're seeing a flag pattern forming on the 4-hour chart, the likelihood of the price moving toward 93 and 94,000 seems higher. Although, as we've seen, put buyers and put sellers targeting 89 to 90,000 have been more dominant. Of course, in the past hour, we've had one or two candles that wicked down to 90,230, which could be seen as fulfilling the expectations of those traders. Still, the situation is one of compression, with a flag pattern forming, which increases the probability of a move toward 94,000 in the coming hours. Now, in the next slide, you can see that we've moved the slide forward and analyzed trades from the start of today. The curve shows a choppy pattern, but the bullish leg is closer to profit. You can see that the intensity of the bearish leg's entry into loss is much higher. The floor of this swing is again around 89,000, and the peak profit is 94,000. The ceiling considered for this move is 92,800. Again, from the delta, you can see the intensity of the puts that have been sold, which have seen the floor, meaning, on average, these contracts have seen the floor around 90,900, which again indicates a bullish setup for... In the next slide, you can see that by considering the November 30th expiry, the Sunday November 30th expiry on options, we still observe a bullish curve with about 720 Bitcoin and a strong gamma on the downside, of course. And again, at 89,000, we see that puts have been bought. For 89,000, part of it could actually be for hedging purposes. However, at the top, we again see the target of 93,000 as the average for call sellers, which acts as a ceiling. So the price is currently here. Right now, we're at this point. This upward move could be completed, meaning we could go up to 93.4. Here, there's a possibility that we might see a reversal downward, along with those puts that have been bought. We'll look into this more in the next slides. Here, in this slide, you can see that we've considered the December 5th expiry. Looking at the December 5th expiry, you can see the curve is still volatile, with the bottom of this volatility at 86 to 87,000, the peak profit at 91,000, which is about where we are now, and the top of this volatility at 96,000. So from the downside up to December 5th, we could potentially see a move back to 96 or 87,000. Keep this in mind, as we'll talk more about it in the following slides. You can see the intersection of the buy and sell option charts. The upper consensus point is at 94,700 and the lower at 89,300. Clearly, the upper consensus is in profit, and a very large consensus zone has formed, a very wide consensus zone, which itself could indicate that, in addition to agreement on an upward move, there's also excitement in this area for a move higher, so we can consider the probability of this move to be higher. We've entered the points into the indicator, and as you can see, the indicator for tomorrow shows volatility between 89,000 and 95,000. Look here, from here to here, you can see what a strong bullish move we've witnessed. These are updates from yesterday afternoon. I had prepared the analysis to some extent, but unfortunately, due to some issues, I couldn't upload the analysis. But this is how the zones moved. That means the indicator bands, both the top and bottom, moved sharply upward, and you can see that it still hasn't materialized yet. So, since yesterday afternoon when we updated these zones, that anticipated move for today still hasn't happened. Now, today we've updated the zones for tomorrow, and we're seeing a pause, meaning it looks like an upward move is expected, apparently up to 94 to 95,000, where the attack on this ceiling could stop. This ceiling, which we can say is our first important ceiling on the 4-hour chart to reclaim, is the first key ceiling for regaining the bullish trend. The origin of the drop for us was from here, from 94 to 95, where we saw this relatively sharp decline. This is an important spot. Right now, there's supply here. It's a supply zone, and it seems like the price target for the week is to reach here, and during the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, we might see a pause here, and then probably a move toward a correction down to 86 to 87. Okay, for the next correction, we filtered contracts above 20 Bitcoin for tomorrow, and among all the trades, 3 stand out. One is a sale of a 100 Bitcoin put, which is really heavy, for tomorrow, and the seller doesn't want the price to go below 89. So this put seller, here it is, 100 Bitcoin. It was entered today at 4 a.m., really fresh and hot. Their view is that they don't want the price below 89 until tomorrow, which is why we can give that flag a lot of weight. And the interesting point is the 2 block trades of 50 Bitcoin each, 2 50 Bitcoin block trades where they sold the 96,000 put. That's really interesting, meaning for tomorrow, they want the floor at 96. They don't want the floor below 96 for tomorrow, and that's quite noteworthy. So this flag could potentially lead to a strong upward move. Now, let's move on to the liquidity heat map. In the image, you can see the 48-hour liquidity heat map, which shows significant liquidity in the 86,000 to 90,000 range. At the same time, there's also liquidity between 92,000 and 94,000, which is closer to the price and a bit more compressed than the higher liquidity, which could be a short-term price target considering the short-term bullish trend we're in. To sum up, given the flag structure that's formed, the bullish state of the indicators and zones, it seems that a move upward and liquidity collection up to around 94,000 is more likely. However, as we mentioned, there's also significant liquidity on the downside. On the other hand, looking at the December 5th expiry, it shows that in this bullish trend, we could still see a floor of 86,000 or 87,000 up to December 5th. So maybe we can consider this scenario. We attack 94,000 as our first important ceiling to reclaim the bullish trend on the 4-hour chart, stay there for a while, by a while I mean maybe a few hours or a day, see some volatility in that area, and then correct down to 88,000 or 86,000. In other words, we attack 94, maybe even break through it a bit, go up to 95, put some pressure on that level, and then, after a while, come back down, correct toward the lower liquidity at 88,000, 86,000, and use that correction as a springboard for a stronger attack on 94 to fully break through that level and head toward 98. Maybe we can consider this scenario for... So, up until December 5th, we can consider building a scenario like this. Thanks for your attention. I hope this was helpful. Until the next analysis, goodbye.